The Galactic Council had seen Earth's military records: standard infantry, basic equipment, primitive projectile weapons. Nothing that impressed the assembly of species who had conquered star systems with plasma cannons and quantum disruptors. When humanity requested membership in the Terran Defense Alliance, most delegates barely suppressed their laughter. "Humans fight with metal slugs," chittered Ambassador HFY of the Crystalline Collective, his translucent form shimmering with amusement. "Their fastest ships barely exceed light speed. What could they possibly contribute?" Admiral Korath of the Saurian Empire leaned forward, his scaled hide reflecting the chamber's bioluminescent lighting. "Perhaps they could serve as support personnel, medical aid, supply logistics, keep them away from actual combat." The motion passed with minimal opposition. Earth would be granted provisional membership, relegated to non-combat roles while real warriors handled the fighting. Humanity's representative, General Sarah Chen, accepted the terms with a smile that several delegates would later describe as unsettling. 3 months later, the Void Swarm struck. The crystalline bioships materialized at the edge of the Kepler system without warning, their hulls absorbing sensor sweeps like cosmic predators. Within hours, they had overwhelmed the system's defenses and begun their relentless advance toward the colonial worlds. "All combat vessels to defensive positions," Korath's voice crackled across the fleet communications. "Humans, maintain support distance as agreed." The battle was brutal. Void Swarm ships phased through energy shields, their organic hulls regenerating, faster than conventional weapons could damage them. Ship after ship fell to their adaptive assault, and panic began to spread through the Allied fleet. "Sir," came a transmission from the human vessel Normandy. "Request permission to engage." "Negative," Korath snapped. "You lack the firepower and—" "Admiral," General Chen's voice cut through the chaos with unnatural calm, "you're about to lose this battle. Let me introduce you to some people." Before Korath could respond, the human ship's docking bay opened. What emerged defied every expectation the aliens had formed about Earth's military capabilities. The first figure that stepped into space wore no environmental suit, only what appeared to be ceremonial armor marked with unfamiliar symbols. His right arm was missing below the elbow, replaced with a mechanical prosthetic that hummed with strange energy. Behind him came others, an elderly woman whose eyes glowed with an inner fire, a man whose scarred face bore markings that seemed to shift in the starlight, and dozens more who moved with the fluid precision of apex predators. "Council members," Chen's voice carried across all frequencies, "meet our veterans." The Void Swarm ships detected the new targets and surged forward, confident in their overwhelming numbers. They had adapted to every weapon the galaxy could deploy against them, evolved beyond conventional warfare. They had never encountered a human who had stared into the abyss of war and emerged transformed. The one-armed veteran raised his prosthetic, and space itself seemed to ripple. The nearest swarm ship simply stopped. Its biohull, which had shrugged off quantum torpedoes, began to crystallize and shatter as if reality itself rejected its existence. The elderly woman spread her arms, and the void between stars came alive with whispered words in languages that predated Earth's written history. Swarm ships that touched the expanding field of her influence turned on each other, their hive mind, consciousness fragmenting into chaos. The scarred man drew what looked like an antique blade, its metal gleaming with impossible light. As he moved through space with movements that belonged to neither physics nor logic, swarm ships died not from damage, but from the simple fact that they could no longer conceptualize their own existence in his presence. What are they?" HFY's voice trembled across the communication link. Chen's response was matter-of-fact. "Veterans, soldiers who've seen enough combat to understand that war isn't about weapons or tactics, it's about will, about surviving. When survival should be impossible, about carrying scars that run deeper than flesh and bone." The Void Swarm, for the first time in their cosmic predation, began to retreat. Their adaptive evolution, honed across millennia, had no framework for understanding enemies who had transcended the conventional rules of conflict. "Each one fought in wars you can't imagine," Chen continued as her veterans methodically dismantled, The remaining swarm ships with techniques that violated several laws of physics. They've seen comrades die, held positions that couldn't be held, completed missions that couldn't be completed. They came home changed. We called it trauma. We were wrong. The last swarm ship collapsed into a point of impossible darkness before winking out of existence entirely. It was evolution. The alien fleet hung in stunned silence as the human veterans began their return to the Normandy. Some moved through space as if it were solid ground, others flickered between dimensions. A few seemed to exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Earth's military records, Chen explained to the speechless council, only show our active forces. Our veterans, they're something else entirely. They've transcended ordinary warfare. They've become living weapons forged in conflicts so intense, they rewrote the fundamental rules of what it means to fight. Admiral Korath found his voice first. How many veterans does Earth have? Chen's smile returned, cold and sharp as winter starlight. Enough. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years, Admiral. Every conflict, every loss, every victory has added to our numbers. We don't just train soldiers, we create legends. And legends once made never truly die. The motion to revise Earth's status within the Terran Defense Alliance passed unanimously. From that day forward, when alien species spoke of humanity's military might, they didn't mention Earth's fleets or weapons. They spoke in hushed whispers of the veterans, those humans who had gazed so long into the darkness of war that the darkness had become part of them. And in the deepest reaches of space, ancient evils and cosmic predators learned a new truth. There were worse things in the universe than extinction. There were Earth's veterans, and they were always recruiting.